Right, Cian here.
And Ophelia.
A bit weird to hear from us directly, but we've heard there might be some folks listening to our tale and wanted to take the time to thank you all for sharing our journey. We'd love to hear more from you, so please leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube streams.
And join us on a Discord server to speak with us and discuss your own TTRPG creations.
You can check our website to find our portraits and maps of our world. Find it all on Linktree/SpareTheCrying. Background music is by Marika Shans, and our intro music is by Ben McElroy.
Our outro is The Falcon by Mimi and Richard Farina, covered by May, voice of Cian.
And our official art is by our very own Corey, at CrowQueen on Twitter. And with that, I'm sure you'll be hearing more from us in the future, so we'll see where the winds take us and meet you there.
Sorry. I know I'm needed here. So last we met, our boys had a little talk with their new friend, Commander Umbra, and now Henry's thinking of trying out her version of the Dawn Shepherd's trials, but he's got to get some help from his friends first. Our boys also finally had that visit with Nico. She handed off her Golden Sun comb to Virgil and denied that she would ever turn on Rowan and denied that he had ever turned on her. Virgil found an old broken gem in the back of that comb tucked away and ran straight into Vane. They demanded Rowan's gem in exchange for what Virgil wants, Nico's freedom. He said no. Not too surprising. Then he left, all the while talking to a friend. His feet take him down the stairs from Vane's tower and through an overgrown garden path. But we'll get back to that later. Kirit, you are led away from the group before they meet with Nico. Step in step with Rowan Sterling. Once you're a good distance away from the others, he looks back to you. There are a few gardens we can sit in if that is comfortable for you. Are you willing to tell me anything? I suppose I should ask before we begin.
Yes, Sorry, it's, It's not something I take lightly or have had the opportunity to share with many.
Come with me. And he walks down this main path that you've all been following and down a stone-lined garden trail. There are camellia bushes on all sides of you, fully in bloom, some scattered on the ground around you. It quickly gets significantly quieter amongst the bushes, and 300 yards in or so, the trail opens up to just a small clearing. There are 3 benches, one on each side. He looks back to you. There is nothing preventing anyone from walking in, but it tends to be quiet in this area.
Where to begin?
We could begin by taking a seat.
All right.
Sits down nearest bench.
I suppose if anybody is going to understand, it'll be you. Do all the Dawn Shepherds, shift?
No.
This is unique to you then?
As far as I know, yes.
I have a, similar issue. Although mine seems more like the influence of something in the ocean.
There's not really a change to his expression, but he's silent for a moment. Can you explain a little further?
I will tell you what I know. I strayed too deep into the oceans one night, and something attacked me. A wolf, I think, and it left the tooth. He's nervously fiddling with his necklace with the wolf's tooth on it. I killed it, I think. For the next few days, I was in and out of consciousness, out of reality. Sometimes in my travels, I just wake up covered in blood. and twigs, and I don't know how I got to where I am. I try not to stay in islands too long, or around folk in general, but I want a cure.
He nods. Why did you not tell us this a bit earlier on?
Well, I was rather worried you might kill me. Outright.
Were you not worried that you would kill us?
No, I was. The others, they know already.
No! Yikes!
So you told them this as well?
In a manner of speaking, I alluded to it, and then there was a night we all had strange dreams. I turned in the middle of the room.
Right. And?
Oh, I'm in trouble. We're all in trouble now.
And everyone that you travel with is quite capable of protecting themselves, for which I'm quite grateful. And the situation was de-escalated.
I'm going to roll persuasion.
You're charming, right? You're cute.
I'm kind of cute. I'm pretty cute. 18.
He looks at you for a good 10 or 15 seconds without saying anything. You could not possibly begin to read the expression on his face, besides the fact that it's clear he is struggling with what the right move to take is. And finally he breaks the silence with a heavy sigh, shakes his head. We did you a kindness by taking you in with our group in the oceans. You were not even supposed to be there.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't want to put any of you in danger. But
you did.
I did.
Okay. You believe you should not stay long in islands?
I try to avoid it.
That seems like it could only make things worse. To spend longer in the oceans.
But as you just said, if I'm around people, I'm putting them at risk. So I go where the people aren't. And then, hearing about you, seeing you, I'd hoped you might have at least advice. I mean, how do you hold your position and maintain your composure?
Not very well, apparently. I do not have a handle on this. He reaches up to the earring that he is wearing. It's a golden gem. There are people who help me, but it is all... It's not the same as you anyways. It's not an ocean's curse. It's almost the opposite in some ways. I would not get affected by the ocean's curses. We can... I don't know. Sorry. We can keep you here if you wish, but it can't be kept secret.
If you have to tell the Dawn Shepherds, Nico, I prefer to leave than be held as a captive here.
If that is the case, I think it is best for you if you just disappear.
I understand.
Are you certain?
Am I certain that I don't want to live as a caged beast?
That is quite an assumption to make.
Or What, you think they'd put me on a leash instead?
Get his ass.
No, I don't expect you to be used.
I would not rely on such generosity.
Alright. I am sorry. I am.
I had hoped you would understand, but
I do.
and perhaps that is the problem. Perhaps you understand my situation all too well, and have judged it rightly.
Perhaps. I suppose you should be seen leaving. But it may be best that is the last time that you are seen here on the grounds. If you don't want any more questions.
Yes. Yes, I have another lead to follow that should, I believe, take me out of town.
Do you have a place to go that is not the oceans?
Nowhere safe.
Anywhere within island boundaries may be safer.
Nowhere safe from me. I can survive in the oceans. I've done it this long. And if I don't, at least I won't be hurting others.
He stands up, and he holds out a hand to you.
Kirit looks skeptical, but he takes it.
He just helps you off the bench. I don't want to turn you out into the oceans. But if you don't want to stay here, I don't know what else to offer.
I understand. And I thank you for not trying to keep me here against my will.
I would not want that.
Sorry, can I roll insight just to check that he's not gonna report this before I can leave? 8.
He does look like he's struggling with all of this, but I mean you can't tell with that much specificity what it is that he's open that he's struggling with this. And that's pretty much all you get. If you change your mind at any point, we're welcome to come back.
Thank you. Perhaps I will someday.
He starts to walk back down the trail, glances over his shoulder to see if you're following.
They'll follow.
Just as you start to walk down this path, there's a rustling in the bushes. He freezes and looks over to the right. Amongst the leaves, you see the face of looks like a young half-orc, maybe about 10 years old or so. She blends in pretty well with the foliage and stays half hidden, looks up at you with curious eyes, not fearful, just intrigued. You hear Rowan sigh. He turns to her. Were you listening to all of that? She silently gestures for him to come closer. And he looks back at you and back at her. Now is not the best time. I'll speak with you later, all right? She does it again. Later, Sunny. And he keeps walking.
Is that going to be a problem?
No. He looks back to you and there is a faint smile on his face. We can trust her.
All right.
And he walks you to the exit and the main gates. Waves goodbye.
Kirit waves back.
As you walk back to the Goodlove estate, Sunny makes her way back through the bushes over to the man she has found lying on the ground amongst the flowers. She looks at him for a moment, narrows her eyes, and then runs back to fetch one of the guards. Virgil, you're in a room you haven't seen before. You have no point of reference for where you are. There's just a thin, small window on each wall, out of which you can only see the sky. It's almost like being in a train car again, but not quite. It's not the same dimensions. The only things in this room are a large loom. This does not resemble the weaving loom that you saw the falcon holding. This is a standing loom in the corner. It looks like it's been torn apart.
By what?
As
Can I
if
tell?
It could have been an axe. It could have been pieces snapped over someone's knee. The wood is a pale yellow, though the ends are stained red with blood. And in front of them, with her face hidden behind her hands, there's a child. She's crying. You see blood drip from behind her hands. They cover her face.
He goes over to her and will drop to his knees beside her. Hey, are you okay?
She looks up at you. You'd guess she'd maybe be, in human years, about 5 or 6. Short, dark hair. Half of her face is hidden behind her hands. But you somehow are struck with recognition, and you know that that's Nico.
He will carefully hold out a hand to her. Hey, I don't know if you know who I am. My name is Virgil. Will you let me help you? Can you show me what is hurt?
She immediately grabs your hand tightly. One side of her face is just torn apart, splinters of wood stuck in her skin.
Whatever happened, it's okay now. I can dress your wounds for you. It'll be all right.
She just holds tightly. Her hands slip a bit, but she doesn't let go.
It's okay. Struck with a sudden thought, he will reach his other hand to the edge of the wound and he'll try to mirror what Rowan once did with him. He'll try and cast some sort of healing spell.
There's a soft golden glow, and as you watch, the scratches start to close over. And you're lying in a hospital bed. There's a bed next to you. It's empty. And there's a bed next to that one. And it's not far away, but it almost looks like it's receding into the distance. And sitting beside you on the bed, staring forward into space, is Nico, grown now, as you know her, though her hair is down and loose, which you're not accustomed to seeing very often. Her scarred side is facing you. You can't read her expression. I didn't think you would tell them that I came to visit you. I don't blame you.
I didn't think I would either. He will try and sit up.
You feel very weak, like you just completed the trials.
I don't think you meant any harm. I'm sorry, I talked to Navain, but they...
She shakes her head. That's enough. What is done is done. I wanted to live much longer than you.
That is how it should have been.
It is. Listen. The world will underestimate you because you are small. I know what it is like. Use it. But don't let them fool you. Yes? Be proud. I have always been proud of you. You must flourish, Floris. All right? May I ask one thing of you?
Anything.
Do not give Rowan up to them.
Never.
Or Triumph. Keep them at your side. I did not mean for you to have to protect both of them, but they deserve to rest.
We're going to be okay.
Yes.
I hope that wherever you go, she will be waiting for you.
You wake in the hospital room.
Failed step 1.
This time, you're surrounded by maybe 20 beds. There's no strange fading into the distance. The room is empty, aside from a young half-orc girl who appears to be very preoccupied with a book that she's reading a few beds away, sitting on the edge of it. She is not hospitalized. She looks up when you wake as if you had made a sound and waves at you.
Hi. He'll sit up this time if he can.
You can. You feel terrible, to put it simply. I'm going to have you mark 4 points of exhaustion.
4?
4?
4 more?
Yes.
Wait, how many can I have without dying?
6. Next to you at the bedside table, there's an envelope, just a small white envelope.
He'll reach for it and see if there's anything on the other side.
No. There's something inside, though.
Yeah, he'll cast Sunny a glance and open the envelope and see what's inside.
There's a small piece of golden stone.
Does it look as if it matches the groove in the earring he wears?
It doesn't look like it matches, no.
If he takes off the earring and holds it side by side.
It looks as if more is broken off.
Okay. I don't think we've been properly introduced. But Rowan has told me about you. Your name is Sunny, yeah?
She closes the book, puts it to the side, and nods.
It's nice to meet you. My name is Virgil. I know your sister.
She nods again.
Do you happen to know where this envelope came from?
She nods and points towards the doors on the opposite side where, the healer's offices essentially are.
Was it Kyo?
She nods again.
Thank you for keeping me company. What are you doing here?
She holds up the book.
Right. What are you reading?
She hops off the bed and walks over to you and places the book on your lap. It's a children's, basically, gardening book. Mostly illustrations.
Is this something that interests you? Gardening?
She nods.
I read something like this when I was your age. There are other books like this in the library here. Have you found them?
She nods. Pulls herself up onto the bed and starts to read.
Yeah, he'll make room for her and kind of lean back and absently read over her shoulder. It's a distraction.
In a couple hours, Kyo, the head leader for many years here, a Firbolg who has been long established in Dawning, gives you leave to go back to the estate if you wish, though she recommends you still get a bit of rest. And that evening, Virgil shows up again at the Goodlove estate.
Sorry for running off like I did. I didn't intend to be gone that long.
Did something, I don't think I can put it delicately, did something unfortunate happen to you between now and then? You look like you've been through something, Virgil.
Yeah, well, talking with Nevane will do that to a person. I'm alright.
Are you sure you're alright?
Physically, sure. Yeah,
You don't look fine physically, actually. I know you're not fine mentally. Sorry.
go on, say it. Keep going.
Walked myself into that one. I mean, obviously, with everything that happened, but you're not. You look unwell.
Yeah, I kind of feel unwell. Maybe I just need to lay down a few hours.
Kian would have recast Marigold. Just one quick question.
Mm-hmm.
What form does she take?
Marigold comes back in the form of a small cream white falcon.
Is this the first time you've recast since we killed that guy?
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay. We'll unpack that later. So a small falcon, I think, lands on your shoulder, and I mean, I know this is probably not going to do anything, but he's going to cast his healing pool anyway. And just get 4 points. Just a little golden light.
In the meantime, Ariel's gonna sit up and just grab a throw blanket that's on one of the backs of one of the sofas and drapes it around your shoulders. If you could light a fire, I think that might be a good idea.
Sure. Doesn't take Henry very long to get a fire going. All the bedrooms have fireplaces for fanciness.
Thank you.
Like a spell.
I don't know that this spell will do much, but thank you. I think I just need to sleep.
You were with Nevane this whole time. Is that why we couldn't find you?
Not the whole time, no. Just long enough for them to tell me that they wouldn't help. I feel like I remember the gardens, but I don't know. It's fine. I'm here now.
This looks a lot like some sort of training situation.
I may or may not have dabbled a bit.
So all we can do is wait.
Suppose that makes sense.
In the meantime, he'll sit down at the foot of Virgil's couch. Kian, there are some things you wanted to tell me about my new situation.
Oh, right. They'll just start digging through their bag of holding and pull out the 2 books. The one that's in Infernal about vampires and then the Celestial book we found in the caverns. I did a lot of reading on the train, and I found some things that I think maybe would be important for us all to know. I'm sure you have questions. Do you?
He leans back against Virgil's legs, stares up at the ceiling for a moment. I don't know, I don't suppose there is a reversal process. Or, well, I don't want it to be reversed exactly, but,
I don't know. There's one way.
What is it?
I don't know how it would work with you, though. If you kill the one that turned you, that's supposed to end the curse.
so that would be you? He turns and points to Virgil.
I honestly don't know. Maybe.
Well, if I get desperate, we'll see what happens.
He, actually laughs.
Kinro's an insight check. 4.
There's a moment where you think maybe Errol is legitimately planning to murder Virgil, but Virgil seems to take it a little too easily for that, and think maybe they're just joking.
Wait, Kian, for specifics, did what you read say that, Errol would have to be the one to have made the kill, or just if that vampire who turned you was killed in general?
Actually, is this something that Kian read? Because that's stuff that I think I knew.
Another vampire has to kill the vampire, basically.
One of
I
the
guess-
many that were turned by that same vampire?
It's
So-
actually someone who's turned by them.
Okay.
Oh.
It just needs to be a
that's
vampire.
Interesting.
In that case, well, unless it was another person who turned you into a vampire, that option might not be on our table anymore. If the entity responsible for the vampirism is one which was already killed by someone who is not a vampire.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't really know how your situation,
If you don't know, you don't know. That is fine.
but there must be other ways. I can't find any in these books, but there's got to be something.
Yeah, maybe there is something. But for now, how long do I have before I become some sort of beast of the oceans? Today is a week.
Kirik flinches.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Do I not?
No. I think that whole idea is just, people afraid of things they don't know. I mean, I've just known Lachlan, but he was himself.
Okay. What did you want to tell me? I don't know what questions you want me to ask you.
I don't know, I just thought you would maybe have some... Let's see. Well, you know about the sunlight thing?
That is something everyone knows.
But
I figured that out by now. That is why I've been living in the bag. Part of the reason why I've been living in the bag.
there's ways to go around that. So we have to find...
Very large umbrella.
That might do it, actually.
Very wide hat.
Lachlan had a cloak with a spell on it. That helped. I don't really think it was that pleasant being outside. But he could be.
And do you have an extra one of those laying around?
No, we'd have to find one.
Okay.
Perhaps those people that Umbra mentioned.
Well, you have discovered the bad thing. What else is there? Walking on walls, that is something.
They stand up, walk over to a wall, They just stop in front of. Can I ask? Are there like paintings on the walls?
Yes.
What is?
It's not an excess of paintings. They're mostly larger paintings with a lot of landscapes or florals, depending on the theme of the room, and then always like big embellished frames.
Okay. They look at it for a moment and turn back to you, Henry. Do you care about this painting?
No.
And they put a foot up on the wall and another and walk up the wall.
Yeah, you're a natural.
They turn around. What is the purpose of this?
Bragging rights.
I think it's kind of just a useful skill.
Is it? What do I use this for?
Well,
Fun.
it can be used when you're in a cavern that it's bisected by like a body of water of some kind, like a river, and then you could, in theory, go along a wall or a ceiling to reach a lever that then has a drain on it. Just as a very specific example.
That is very specific.
Yeah.
Or maybe if there was a book on a high shelf you wanted to reach.
Anyways. Is there anything I should be concerned about? I mean, I have discovered that I can only consume blood, which is not ideal, and it is extremely painful to avoid, so I don't think that is going to happen for long.
There is one thing, at least. Wooden stakes are immobilizing, as we have discovered.
I actually don't know how exactly that works. Keen will flip through the book and find the page that talks about that. Seems like it actually has a bit more to do about the strength of the vampire.
So... Well, it seems to work at least on the thing that turned them into this. And it didn't seem like much of a pushover.
But I think they were pretty weak still.
Okay, so a vampire at full health might be less affected?
Still something to look out for.
Wooden stakes, okay.
Arguably, if you're not a vampire, you would probably want to avoid being staked.
I would
Regardless.
think so, yes.
It's not very pleasant.
There is also that one piece that we have, well, I suppose as long as you're not in a lot of combat, it probably won't come up often, but the smell of blood.
I know about this already, yes.
Yes, okay, good.
I am still sorry for that. They look to you and also to you, Virgil.
It's fine.
That was on purpose, though.
Not for me, but good. Anything else?
I think that's the most pressing things. And I talked to my friend. Might be able to help you. She knows a lot.
I appreciate that. If I have more questions, I can ask her if she knows so much about this.
Do you feel... Obviously you feel different. Is there anything that you can't do anymore?
They step down off of the wall. There are a lot of things I cannot do anymore, yes.
Sorry, obviously. It's not what I...
What is it?
Simone was saying... She's another vampire.
Okay.
She was saying that sometimes the one who turns you can choose to take something. But I think it's a choice.
What do you mean take something?
Like a skill or a memory. Sorry, that's not a fun question. But I think it would be helpful to know.
I don't know. I have been spending most of my time in a train car. Oh, again, it's a fucking bag. So I have not had much time to explore this sort of thing. I can get back to you if I figure something out.
Can I insight check? Ooh, a 19.
You can tell that they are worried about something.
We'll find a way to get you out of that bag.
Your friends, yes?
Yes. Also, I was reading. Flip through it again. This feels like it's important, but I can't really figure out why.
What?
The author of this book speculates that the first vampires either originated from Freya or somewhere, but that there is more evidence for it to be Freya.
Yeah, according to
Yeah.
this author, yeah.
I think there's not a lot known about vampires for certain, but the author thinks that the first vampire may have come from Freya. That just seems...
Coincidental. You don't think that thing was the first? What would that mean for all the others?
I don't know.
Well, we don't know how long that thing was there. That is something to keep in mind.
And I don't really know what this other book is saying. There's a lot of diagrams. He'll pull out... You sent this map, and I can't find it.
I can't believe we murdered the first vampire, guys.
I know, I'm really worried.
Hey, it's okay. Virgil killed it and he wasn't a vampire, so...
So everybody's permanently a vampire now?
Maybe...
Only the old ones.
Yeah, Keen could have solved this by killing it themselves.
Skill issue, Kian.
So, this map was in the book. Some things circled in a star.
In a star? you
Wait,
say?
so up here's... Wait, that's fucking Dawning.
Yeah,
And down there's somewhere...
And that's
What's
above
this?
Enosh? Because Enosh is...
Yeah, Enosh is
Yeah.
like here.
And
And then
And
there's a
that's
star of Freya,
Freya.
right?
We figured it out.
It's like in the Freya area.
why
yeah.
don't you
Yeah.
know?
That is where I think Vivian is. That's where
Where Lachlan
Kian
is
has
heading.
been told not to go.
Yeah.
Kian got...
Why is that
really
circled,
convinced.
though? Like, I can't...
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is.
That's like right outside Enosh. What did we investigate when we were at
Perry
Perry
Vine?
Vine?
Yeah.
Fucking...
What the fuck does that mean, though? And then this isn't somewhere proper, it's outside of somewhere. Is that Paradise?
North of somewhere.
Where's
Oh,
Paradise on
it
this
is
map?
north.
Justice.
Northeast of.
That's
The
paradise.
circle is Paradise,
That?
Dawning, and Enosh. And the two stars are Freya and whatever is beyond this mountain.
Yeah.
Where Vivian is. What does that mean? Will by
'Cause-
Paradise be referencing Scar somehow? I'm like trying to think of like sussy figures that we've found.
Right. This is from the book that was
Okay.
in Freya. I don't think it would have anything to do with Scar because she is not...
She was more recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how old is Ox? Does Ox even
27?
fucking know?
27.
27?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
27.
Is there anyone else that's sussy in Paradise? Paradise area?
Well, I was thinking that the
Risalto was
entirety
nearby.
of Paradise is sussy because remember that the place that we were in where we found
Yeah,
the
mirrors
celestial
it.
mirrored.
Somewhere is just like a good place for vampires. Kian will open the book to this map. Show it. Does the book have any like descriptions of this page? He will use comprehend languages.
It's all in that archaic,
Archaic
celestial.
celestial.
At the top of the map, it says reflections.
So that star is
If-
a little north of Freya proper.
Yeah, probably where the ruins that we found that thing are.
Like what is the book talking about before?
All of the maps are really simply labeled with things such as that. So there would be a map of the sky that says stars above Octarius, most northern point. Stars above Octarius, most southwestern point.
Okay.
They're all pretty simple. So are you skimming through the book right now to try to find stuff?
Yeah.
I'll have you roll an intelligence check. And you can look into this book more deeply later, but as a skim, investigation.
17.
So the word reflection stands out to you now. You are accustomed to how it looks in this language. And in the first section of this book, you see that it discusses calling down the stars through reflections.
Kian is reading this out loud as he's skimming.
So as you flip through it, you see they were calling down stars through reflections, that they wonder if this has something to do with why the fallen stars don't have reflections anymore. They wonder where the reflections have gone, if there's a new plane, or if their reflections were killed, if they're connected to the soul.
What's wrong with you, gay boy?
He doesn't have a soul.
I think if you're just focusing on reflections, that's mostly what you find.
And then this map, I don't really know what the circles mean, but we've got the star for... It seems to highlight sort of close to where we were in Freya, but also down here, and they'll point to the southeastern corner. think this is where I think I mentioned Vivian. At least briefly.
That is Lachlan's sire, right?
Yeah. I think she's pretty powerful. I don't know if she's the first, but people kind of talk about her like she's one of the oldest. And that's where he told me not to go. That's where he never wanted to go. So I think she's somewhere over there. And the other circles, all seems like places we've been. Right?
They're also, interestingly, located approximately on the same ley line.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Dawning all the way down to somewhere.
Like Enosh.
Maybe we...
There's a crack as something hits the window pane. It doesn't crack the glass, but it makes a loud, sharp sound.
Virgil will get up,
Ox
Like-
follows.
kind of jarringly, and go see.
Yeah.
There's a couple very beautiful, tall trees, a well-maintained garden. You see a couple staff running to and fro on the grounds beneath you. And then a pebble hits the glass and jump back.
Who's being gay?
Do one of you have a lover you want to discuss?
I
Or
don't know, Henry, this is your house.
Is
I
there
would rather be my
What
parent.
direction did the pebble come from?
Kian opens the door and...
Roll a perception.
The window.
Yeah, the window. Kian opens the window and just pushes Miracle out. Gently. She flies.
She flies.
She drops like a rock.
Marigold is fucking gone.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. It looks like the rock actually came from slightly above.
Is there a child anywhere around? Perhaps a tree?
Yeah, there's somebody in a tree.
There are a couple trees, yes.
Okay.
It could have come from a tree.
If Ox starts scanning the trees, does he find anyone? Sussy?
I'm gonna have you do another perception check.
13.
Does Falcon have advantage? Eyesight?
Oh, she's different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, advantage on wisdom checks that rely on sight.
There you go.
Yep.
Is
It is that one.
Marigold is unaccustomed to being a falcon and sees everything so much. She is distracted by every movement of every leaf on every tree, every rustle in the undergrowth of mouse. She'll like dive bomb towards one of the staff members and like fly back up, fly to the side, and is almost dizzying to try to communicate with. At the moment.
Yeah, Kian like jumps out of her vision. Whew. I can't see anything out there.
Henry,
She's having a time.
come over here.
Alright.
It kind of looked like it came from higher than we are. Like maybe it was out of the trees. Are they on the uppermost floor?
You have to
Second story.
Yeah.
Henry,
The
do you-
house staff went the first.
Yeah.
Down that.
Henry, do you look out the window?
Yes.
Roll a perception check. You glance out the window, and much like the rest of your friends, you just see the normal activity of the estate, and then a pebble hits you on the forehead.
Somebody you know?
I think perhaps we should go out to the garden.
As Henry says this, from one of the densely branched trees in front of you, a face appears. It's not as if they were disguised by magic, just extremely well hidden. It looks like maybe a 30 to 40-year-old in human years halfling. You can't see much of her at this moment. She's well camouflaged in the tree, but an intricate braid sort of falls out from the branches, dark hair, and a waving hand, and points down.
Henry gives a quick wave and then he's already going for the grounds.
Are we to assume those are the
Yes.
people we're meeting? Alright.
You all go outside.
Virgil pulls the blanket around himself.
Errol will stay in.
Wait, lesser restoration doesn't work on exhaustion, does it?
But he's got fucking 4 stacked. What does that mean for me, actually? I should have probably rolled with disadvantage for perception.
Oh yeah. Your
just-
hit point maximum is reduced by half.
Okay.
You have half your movement, and you have a disadvantage on like all your rolls. basically.
Everything, yeah. Jesus.
Seriously?
The tree that you saw this halfling in is a little bit further back into the garden space. You know how to get there. You can lead the group there easily. And at the base of the tree, you all see a half-orc standing there very casually, leaning up against the trunk of the tree. They're quite tall, taller than any of you, and have pale green skin, silver eyes, silver hair, in a slightly overgrown buzz cut, and a short beard with a few beads that look like to be a whittled wood. They look to you all and smile, and there is a very obvious awkwardness as they meet Henry's eyes and nod.
Henry, as is pretty typical for him, he seems pleased. Good afternoon. Nadia. Still
Hey.
going. Yes. Hello, this is, I should introduce you. Do you want to wait until Vince is going to come back down?
They look up. She's on her way. Within a couple seconds, this halfling you all saw in the tree lands on the ground next to Nadia. She looks up at all of you and somehow in this moment has a almost more imposing presence to her. She has a colorful cloth tied around half of her face. Looks like maybe she's missing an eye. And a very piercing gaze. She takes all of you in and then looks to you, Henry. Nods. Nadia looks to the rest of you. Name's Nadia. Didn't expect such an audience right now. Don't you think this is a bit, I'm not going to call attention to us?
We can be subtle if we need to. Hey, don't laugh.
No one's going to pay us any mind. I wouldn't think.
You don't think anyone's going to pay us any mind?
Well, me. And then by association, anyone who's around me. You have to understand that it's not my first time bringing.
Yeah, alright. Still, we'd prefer not to be seen.
Are you bringing us somewhere? Thought we were supposed to meet someone else.
Vincent nods. Well, whenever you're ready.
Might have to grab a friend we left.
Didn't know you had so many friends up here.
Funny enough, I brought him along. Aside from Virgil,
So we're trying to make a smaller group, right?
Well, it doesn't have to be a smaller group, but if you could, I don't know, disguise yourselves or go invisible, something like that, might be useful.
Yeah, I can do that.
Got myself covered.
Yeah, I can't do anything for the rest of you. Do you have a cloak, Henry? Most recognizable of us.
Just give us like 5 minutes and we'll be back down with a bit more subtlety.
Nadia, the half-orc, laughs quietly, nods. All right, we'll wait here then if that seems all right with you.
certainly.
They still are very obviously uncomfortable when they talk to Henry. They keep glancing his way, but lean back as if casually against the trunk again.
Maybe if we just don't mention it, he won't bring it up. Virgil will head back up to convince Errol lovingly to get back in the bag.
It doesn't take any convincing. They complain about it, but they accept it.
Yeah, I know.
They turn into a bat and enter their new home.
I don't know, Kian, don't you have that one spell that can turn people into animals?
I mean, if you turn Henry into a squirrel, he won't be recognized as a good love. So there's
I was
that.
thinking more of like a dog or something.
I could. It's just, if we get into any trouble, that's all my spells for the next little bit.
Oh, sorry, I don't really... That's not my specialty, I can't...
I've got a disguise kit.
Virgil will disguise himself as a nondescript half-elf.
Keen will use his disguise kit on Henry. I feel like you're pretty nondescript.
Yeah.
Just a human man.
It's a
Would be
big
either-
enough town. I'm a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big cloak. And, I don't know, some makeup to sort of dull less golds.
You can't possibly
Less
dull
shiny.
Henry's glow.
You just turn him truly yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, hide the horns, stuff the tail down a pant leg. You'll be fine.
I suppose this will suffice.
At least until we get to where we're going.
Ox remove his hat probably because that is very attention grabbing, and wear his cloak and maybe ask Kian to put a little bit of makeup on him.
I guess.
Maybe like put his
Okay.
hair up or something.
Ponytail? Mm-hmm. Yes. Of all the places in the world to be less noticeable, Dawning is a good one. It is a place where more people are coming and going. Don't wear anything extremely flashy and
To not
maybe
look
just
like
don't
ourselves.
Yeah, it's more just to not look like you. Not that you
Yeah.
like need to be Mr. Smith.
Virgil will be still holding his bunny, though, because he needs something to hold that is warm.
That's fair.
Yeah. Keen will just cast disguise self and look like his classic pretty elf lady. Maybe some brown hair. Big cloak.
Can you cast, and the magic does feel different when you cast it, and has that dark reddish hue to it that you now know is associated with the falcon, or what used to be the falcon. And when the spell takes hold, you feel it. Like you feel different. And when you reach up to your ears, the shape change of them is tangible.
Are you the falcon now, my guy? By the way. Because you kind of have their magic in the arm they gave you. Anyway, food for thought.
Keen lifts a hand to his ear and they hold it there. They might make a little bit of a face and then try to hurry people.
Okay, yeah, you all meet up with them, and they wordlessly look at you all, nod. Nadia smiles. Not bad. All right, so we're heading out now, then.
Yes.
All right, they start to walk ahead. Vincent follows close behind and leads you out a back entrance that you didn't know existed, Henry. It looks like it's maybe built in for the gardeners and then hasn't been used for, years and years until now. And they just lead you out of the estate. You're in a quieter, more back alley sort of area. And wordlessly, quietly, they lead you down the streets towards Umbra's friends, D&D. So it's a bit of a lengthy walk until eventually close to the outskirts of the city, which, reminder, it's not outskirts of the island, it's just the city. You turn to the right, a sharp right, down a small side street. It's not abandoned, just quiet. And you stop in front of a small instrument shop that's just called Instrument Shop. It's a single-story dark wood building, a round window next to the door that has curtains in a deep maroon red pinned off to the side, and in the dim shop you can see the walls are just covered with instruments. They are the sole form of decor in this place. They stop right outside. Vincent looks to you, Henry. All right. They turn around and open the door. There's a tinkling of a bell as the door opens, and the shop is empty, but a few seconds past the ringing of the bell, the curtains in the back open up, and a upper middle-aged human man steps out into the front of the shop. He has a very sort of a quiet demeanor about him, a small, mild smile on his face, dark hair that is pretty much fully tinged with gray stripes through it, half pulled back. He doesn't appear to be anything fancy, just like plain blue robes, steps behind the counter, out into the front, gives Vincent and Nadia each a nod, and then looks to the rest of you, Henry and Virgil in particular. We were told you would all be coming over. My name is Stalen. Holds out a hand.
Henry takes it. Hey, pleasure to meet you. I'm assuming you spoke with Umbra, had communications?
Yes, one moment. He steps behind you and over to the door and turns the lock, steps over the curtains and carefully unwinds them from their hook on the wall and shuts the windows, turns back around. Let's talk elsewhere.
There's an elsewhere to talk in.
Downstairs, yes.
Keen turns to Virgil, just whispers, "Do you think we should let Errol out now, or?"
Maybe give it a minute.
Girl's like, let me out! All right, then follow me. And as he starts to lead you back, he talks over his shoulder. Do you all need anything? Tea or... I guess that's all I have to offer.
That is more than enough if it's not trouble.
Tea sounds lovely.
I'll get you settled downstairs first. And as you walk past the hallways, it looks like the back of the shop, there's a small workshop. It looks like a woodworking shop, a little kitchenette, and some rooms that maybe are storage rooms. And at the end, he kneels down and opens up a trapdoor that was perfectly disguised in the wood slats of this hallway. There's no knob, he just opens it as if there was one. You peer down into this hole in the ground and see some well-worn and well-formed steps. There are arcane lights lining this underground hallway that appear to be powered by the spores that you've seen around. He leads you down to the stone door in the back and turns around and holds out a hand. Before we begin, I should probably warn you, and the door opens. On the other side is another human man. This one, significantly more eclectic. He has dark brown curly hair that's pulled back and in a very loose sort of bun, and you can see there's a variety of objects sticking out of his hair. There are some pencils as well as what looks to be a protractor, a small screwdriver. He's wearing a heavily stained thin coat that he takes off as he opens the door and hangs on a hook that must be next to it. Underneath, he's much more well-groomed, I guess you could say. A nice but well-worn embroidered vest, a tool belt at his side. The door opens with a muffled thud. Dalen winces slightly. The man crosses his arms, looks at all of you. Dalen smiles, glances back at the rest of you and says, Dimitri, we have guests. Never thought I'd see the day if a Dawn Shepherd and a good love showed up at my door and didn't drag me out kicking and screaming. Come inside.
Not actually a shepherd, but okay.
Close enough.
Are we known for doing arrests since I've...
What was that?
I'm asking if Good Love has become known for doing arrests.
Just come inside.
I'm just making sure.
And no, I cannot imagine your parents ever getting their hands dirty.
Henry doesn't have anything else to say.
What? Wait, one more time?
Wow.
Henry doesn't have anything else to say? Sorry.
For now.
Give him a minute.
Are you going to stand there or are you going to come inside?
Virgil will do what he does and obey.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yep. You step inside a chaotic workshop. Umbra's, I believe I described as an organized mess. This is just a mess. You cannot narrow down what is being done in this shop. There's definitely some instrument crafting. Kian, you recognize scrolls and instrument heads, both out of wood and metal. You see strings laying around, but there are also beakers, vials. Ox, you recognize some motors, though you can't quite tell what it is that they are for. There are a couple of desks, all fully cluttered with things. A couple of chairs as well, all fully cluttered with things, except for one. And he sits down at that one and then gestures vaguely. A small yellow blur zooms out from a birdhouse that's hanging in the back corner of the room and lands on Dimitri's shoulder. It's a little canary. Trills a little song for you. Sit anywhere you like, and we can talk about what to do next.
Keen will find a little place to sit, brush off the disguise, just dispel it.
Virgil will sit next to Kian and maybe lean a little bit more than he would otherwise, like against their shoulder.
Ox will find a seat next to a desk with...
Don't touch that.
Well, what is it?
Don't worry about it.
Ox
Touches it.
doesn't touch it. He looks at it longingly. He wants to touch it.
He's like watching you with his eyes narrowed, like he's suspicious, but you can tell he's smiling. He's amused by this. He doesn't actually seem angry at you. Okay, so, Mr. Goodlove, you wanted to go through with this soul removal process, yes?
Yes.
It's a yes now. Like just a solid yes.
I'm trying to use directness to get more information.
Dalen opens the door. I'm going to make some tea.
Thank you.
Closes the door again. So, are you saying this is not your intent?
I thought we were coming here to ask questions about how it worked.
Well, yes, if that is your intent.
Yes.
I am not saying He leans back. I'm not saying you cannot ask any questions, just there is no purpose in this if that is not your intent.
I haven't really been presented with any other viable options.
Well, of course there are other viable options.
Well, we had a discussion about the immortality business, but that might not be...
Options are options.
Suppose. It's just a long time. You know, tieflings aren't like elves or other really long-lived species. It might get uncomfortable.
Every option might get uncomfortable at some point.
It's a long time to live with myself.
That's a banger line. Fuck. Can Neil have inspiration?
Yeah. Right, well, sounds like you're decided.
Perhaps you can give me a brief walkthrough.
Well, most of what you are going to be doing with us is figuring out the best way to disguise it. Your new state of being, I guess, and your new source of magic. That needs to be done first, because you are doing this under the table. I understand we can't have people knowing that you have done this.
Right, that makes sense. People already think that I have a patron or something like that. Why not we can't just roll with that story?
If anyone tries detecting magic on you and you've simply said you had a patron, they will possibly be able to tell that you are lying. So we need to disguise it, which is what we specialize in here. If you decide to cast ever and you are around someone with particular arcane knowledge, they may be able to tell at least somewhat what the source is.
Okay.
Do you play any instruments?
Yes, several.
Do you play anything that can be carried around with you?
I mean, I know the violin, but that seems a little cumbersome to have to carry all the time. Does it have to be that large?
Better than a piano.
It's also not that large.
Garrett looks to his fiddle strapped to his backpack.
You think you will struggle to pick up a violin?
Maybe.
No. It's more a matter of that I prefer to be a little lighter in my packing, I suppose. Things that I keep on my hand.
How do you feel about ukulele? Flute? Clarinet?
Harmonica.
Piccolo.
Yeah, sure. You are going to have to carry this around with you, and you're going to have to use it to cast.
Using it to cast. Okay. I'd be a fine bard, right?
You won't really be a bard, but people will think you are.
It's mostly about performance, right? You have that down.
Henry would make a good bard.
Yeah.
A gregarious tiefling, bard.
Henry Shrug is not the most reassuring, but he seems willing.
I can get to work on designing that. Ox, what are you doing?
Ox is most certainly handling whatever has been on this table. He has sort of picked at whatever little bits are on the edges while nobody's been looking, which I can also roll for if you would like me to roll for
do
some
it.
stone. That's a 17.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to notice.
Yeah.
You pull your hand back every time he glances over.
So it started with that, and then it has progressed to whatever is like the most put together on the desk. Ox has been handling that.
It looks like the body for some kind of instrument. You're not sure exactly what it is, like some kind of fiddle-ish thing. It's not fully carved yet, so you can't quite tell. But the inside is full of machinery. It's extremely light when you pick it up sometimes, and then heavy other times, like as you sort of readjust it. It's not easy for you to inspect close, like subtly. You see inside, reflecting the lights in this room, a glass vial that looks like it would store these spores, like Mela's. I'm gonna also have you roll perception.
13.
As you're looking around and touching things, there is something at the edge of the desk that catches your eye. It looks like it has been carved into the wood recently, and it is the backwards wind symbol. And above it, there's a black feather.
Like carved into the table?
No, there's just a black feather.
Okay.
Ox runs his gloved hand over the symbol before taking the black feather and examining it.
It's a black feather. He looks to you and just kind of watches curiously for a moment. He looks thoughtfully at Ox. You know something about that?
You building this for someone?
Just to put on sale, yes.
They pay you a visit?
Yes, they did.
How long ago?
A week, maybe? The reason why there are some empty shelves in the shop. They did not pay.
Keen steps up to peer over and see what they're talking about.
By chance, not necessarily someone who had robbed your shop, but Ox here, our friend, does his face look familiar to you? Just if you imagined it with a more feminine framing.
Should you look familiar to me?
Well, we haven't met before, but sounds like my sister might have been through here.
Great. Can you tell her to please return what she took?
That's exactly why I'm searching for her.
Well, thank you for your service.
What exactly did she take?
Let's see, there was a fiddle, a banjo, a cello, 2 harmonicas.
Did they all do something? Keen looks around the room and all of the machinery, and you're not making just normal instruments, right?
Yeah, not only. I mean, we make normal instruments as well, but sometimes we help people out.
Did those ones do anything?
Yeah.
Anything we should be worried about?
No, I don't work with weaponry. It is all disguise, pretty much.
As in, it will disguise source of magic or the
It
bearer?
will disguise source of magic. It will disguise curses. It can disguise who or what you are in some cases.
What did the fiddle do?
Let's see. He turns around and starts to rifle through some of the books that are scattered across the desk. Picks one up, flips through it, puts it down. Picks one up, flips through it, throws it over his shoulder. Eventually stops on one page. Right. Okay. So the fiddle was still in progress, but it is supposed to nullify the more how to put this intense curses, influences of the ocean.
Nullify. As in,
Yes.
suppress?
He looks over at you, raises a brow. Yes, not fully. That is unfortunately not, as far as we know now, quite possible, but it was an attempt to at least help.
Good to know.
Would we be able to talk about commissioning something like that?
Yes, I heard that is part of the reason why you're here. You said you have a friend. He glances over to you.
Well, more than one, actually.
There's no be good time.
I think so.
I think we should explain the situation before we let the cat out of the bag.
He's just
Is there a
he's
cat?
No.
been in a bag for a bit.
Look, a friend of ours happened to, unfortunately, acquire vampirism.
I was going to be more subtle than that.
Dalen steps into the room as you say that.
That's not our secret to tell, actually.
Well, I think it would be pertinent. It's not like it's a regular curse.
In your wildly gesticulating hand, a teacup is gently placed.
Henry is an expert. His dexterity is fantastic. He will take this teacup like he was intended.
Dalen looks over at you, Kian. You don't need to worry about saying that sort of thing here. You're in the right company. Dalen is looking at you with a slight, subtle, warm smile.
In the right company? Are you dealing with something like that? Sorry, maybe that's not... Well, are you?
He starts and sets down the book with a loud thunk on the table. You don't have to share that sort of thing. And Dalen shakes his head. No, it's fine. I am, yes. Not vampirism, but I spent some time in the oceans as well, actually working on one of your rail lines. I probably wouldn't be able to have returned here if we hadn't figured something out. He reaches behind his back and pats the instrument case that is somewhere on his shoulder. Use this.
Does Keen recognize what it is?
you do recognize this instrument. It's a traditional folk instrument from the easternmost part of the Phoenix Island. It's a string instrument. It's a domra. So, truly, it's okay. We've helped vampires before, actually.
You have?
We have.
So, where are you heading?
Do you want some more tea?
No, never mind. Sorry.
Why don't we introduce
I made an
Errol in
assumption.
person?
That wasn't a code word.
Yes, we would be interested in meeting your friend if they need our help.
I think you'd be glad to be let out of the bag.
Both of their eyes widen, Kian, as you take out the bag. When you said there was a cat in the bag, you meant you meant a literal bag.
It's daylight, so...
And that's genius.
Oh.
Ian's like, woo! Like, what?
Lachlan who?
I have to get into older men.
Dilf, am I right?
I mean, it works. It's a good solution.
Let this poor person out of the bag.
Gian opens.
A bat flies out!
A bat flies out and poofs into Errol, who blinks, looks a bit out of sorts for a moment as they reappear in an unfamiliar place, glance around at the overwhelming sort of surroundings, and just stand stiffly in the center of the room.
Sorry for the whiplash. This is Dalen and Dimitri.
Nice to meet you, and Errol holds out a hand. Errol Strauss, nice to meet you. Dimitri shakes his hand. Strauss, okay, take a seat. Errol very gingerly cleans off one of these seats and sits down. Dimitri looks over to you, Kirit. Any more friends we should know about?
Kirit waves.
Dimitri waves back.
Me. I'm the other one. It's not vampirism.
Well, what is it then?
I sort of turn into a dog sometimes.
When you say dog, do you mean a dog or do you mean...
It's a very big dog.
Right.
It's a wolf.
A wolf.
It's a wolf, not a big dog.
No.
A wolf is not exactly the same as a big dog, no. Okay.
Do you know about Dan Pierce?
About vampires? Not much, but I know of them, yes. How many friends do you have?
You would
We're a
not
friendly
believe.
bunch. Just if you had more information about them, it'd be nice for me.
Dimitri looks at you over to Dalen and back. There's a hint of surprise on Dalen's face as well.
It's just kind of hard to find any information.
Yes, that is true. It's not a well-researched area.
Can you undo it?
Dimitri leans back again. He looks to you with a softer expression than he's had so far since you've met him. Perhaps it can be done, but unfortunately I've not been able to crack that. I can hide it.
Keen kind of shrugs, quickly goes from hopeful to nonchalant. It's okay, I've got a handle on the hiding it bit.
They look over to you, Ox. Do you have something that we should know about?
Fucking do you?
Well, not really that I know of. Sometimes my reflection's gone.
NBD.
Are you the vampire that this one was talking about?
No, I'm not a vampire.
Well, that is something to take note of, I would say.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? The man does not have a reflection.
But I have a reflection.
Good for you.
I have had some issues with bodily autonomy on occasion, in that I can't control my own body sometimes.
But like in a magical way.
I thought that was a charm.
Yes, I was assuming that. Was it a charm?
You made it sound like one.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know you. It could be a charm or something more permanent. If this reflection situation is a continuous thing. Okay, this is a bigger project than I expected.
Yeah, I see why you didn't immediately kill me.
Right, Flores,
Yes.
are you needing anything? I know you,
A therapist, maybe?
yeah, get in line.
Oh, me too.
As you said, you are no longer a Dawn Shepherd.
At least in title. One doesn't really stop.
Are you all, leaving the Phoenix Island after this? Are you to continue to be associated with Donning, with your work for Commander-in-Chief here, with the Good Loves?
Business with Nevane was entirely a one-time piece, at least for me, but I can't exactly ask my family to stop being such a prominent figure in Dawning.
No, I don't suspect you can. They would not listen. But the rest of you.
Keen looks to Virgil. I was only planning on going along with it for as long as you were.
I would gladly cut ties with Nevane if it was as simple as that. It is not. There is more than one Commander-in-Chief. I don't know if I can leave him here. I can't leave him here.
I don't know if we're working for Donning as a group anymore, but we're not going to do anything to put us on their bad side. At least not any big grand gestures.
Why do you ask?
Dimitri looks over to Dalen again. You see this very often between them, sort of silent communication. Dalen gives just the slightest shake of his head.
It's like gay telepathy.
Yeah. Dimitri looks back to the rest of you. We were hoping that you could all help us. Do you hear Dalen sigh?
With what?
All of what we have said in this room requires a good amount of trust. Still, I am hesitant. Listen, you can be assured that this information you have shared with us about yourselves will not be shared elsewhere unless in retaliation. We were hoping, Henry, you left your business quite a few years ago and have never seemed particularly loyal to it. Can I ask why that is?
It's just... It gets very restrictive,
Is that all?
for the most part.
Right. Never mind. I think we can build your piccolo, cloaking for your friend here, and that's can be where things end, yeah?
You won't.
No, I'm confused. Are you saying that there's something that I should be concerned about with my family or the business?
Don't worry about it, Mr. Goodlove.
It's quite difficult to do that once you've brought it up like that.
Do you really not see anything wrong with what your family's been doing?
It's not... Not explicitly terrible.
Controlling the ley lines?
I don't know what else you would do with them.
Dimitri stands up and looks like he's about to say something. Dalen steps forward pretty quickly and just grabs him by the arm and leads him out of the room. I'll be back in just a second. Closes the door behind him. The bird flutters off Dimitri's shoulder and lands on the little peg outside the birdhouse and just watches you all.
Oh, we're being spied on.
Mm-hmm.
We can tell that's familiar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but what would you use ley lines for otherwise? Is there something context that I'm missing? I'm assuming that there would be rail lines in between them. Besides, now Maggie and Donna own one of them. It's not like I didn't decide this. It was built well before I was even born.
The door opens again and just Dalen steps inside and closes it. Sorry. No, go ahead.
People can't afford to leave their islands. They have to pay your family to leave.
Could they afford it before the rail line?
Your family owns it all.
But, I mean, were they even usable before that? I mean, I'm not saying that the system can't be improved. I'm just saying, is it worse now?
certainly not something you can easily work around.
There's a reason why there's so many stowaways on trains. You know?
Do you know, there are people who have to build those rail lines. Those are not your parents.
Yes, I understand how the division of labor works.
I'm not sure if you entirely do.
Henry, how much is a single ticket to get to somewhere if you're not you?
Suddenly, because he's never had to buy a ticket.
How much could a banana cost?
Virgil waits.
1,000 gold.
It is more gold than most people see in their life.
I thought it was a lot of gold when I first went down there too.
I was very privileged to get to the places I went to all over the world. I know what it is to wander between islands and not be let in because people are terrified of what you could be. And I had no papers to prove that I wasn't something from the ocean.
That's islands.
I'm not saying what is happening now is your fault. I'm saying you are a good love. And you have the chance to change it.
Your family owns most of the land that is safe to travel.
Then what should be done with it? If they don't own it, someone will.
It's not a simple matter. And please excuse Dimitri, it's a bit of a sensitive subject. Vincent and Nadia have been here this whole time, but they have been silent, sort of standing by themselves in the corner. Dalen looks over to them and over to you, Henry. There was some hope that when you left Dawning in the matter that you did rather suddenly, that perhaps you had been made aware of some of the conditions of the rail line and were perhaps not interested in endorsing it, which is quite a leap for us to have made. And for that, I do apologize. There's no need to do anything more than take your piccolo, he said, and go. I just thought perhaps I should explain the anger that was there for a moment.
What if I want to help? Would you tell us what it was you wanted help with, even if Henry was involved?
Don't see why I can't be told.
You don't see why you can't be told?
This whole thing is born of people not telling me. How am I supposed to know the conditions are like on the rail lines? They don't go through my house.
That was pretty good. That was pretty funny. I'll go right to your doorstep.
I will go to my house and board the train.
They went through mine. It doesn't matter. This subject should not have been brought up. Again, apologies. I'll go talk to Dimitri.
What if we didn't tell Henry?
That is a whole different matter.
I know I can't go helping everyone, but this sounds like something I'd be interested in. Can I help?
It requires a certain amount of dedication, but anyone can.
Is it something I'd be able to do while we're out and about in the world?
I think so.
I promise not to tell anyone.
Can I just pull Henry over to the corner?
Sure, it's not a very big space.
Yeah. Hold his ear.
I'll cast message to like help make it a little bit less decipherable.
Is there a reason you don't want to assist?
It's not necessarily that I wouldn't want to, I just don't know everything. Anything.
Would you be willing to speak to your parents? To learn everything?
I don't think anyone would believe me if I said yes.
You haven't given us much reason to distrust you when you are convicted. If you're afraid of seeing the dark side of your fathers, you could just ask him. Get his experience.
I don't think they want to tell me.
Perhaps if you go in with a willingness to listen, what's the harm in trying? He'll go back.
We can consider it, I think. First, we should get our initial projects finished, for Mr. Goodlove and the rest of you. So, I'm going to go get Dimitri, and steps out of the door. A few moments later, Dimitri comes back, closes it firmly behind him. Alright, so, Mr. Goodlove, I don't know if you have a timeline that you are trying to stick to here. This piccolo we can finish in a couple days, if need be. We will be pulling some of your soul from your body, or not us, but Commander Umbra, similar way of your friends here. This gem, he points to yours. It is as far as I understand, a very pure sort of manifestation of your magic, your life, essentially.
It is more or less what we were told.
Mr. Godlove, yours will not be quite so high quality, you could say.
You're getting like 14 carat.
Damn.
Yes, exactly.
Damn.
Diminished.
You will have to be killed for this, but not permanently.
We hope.
If Commander Umbra is correct, it should be fine. But yes, technically there is always a chance something will go wrong.
I was made aware beforehand.
I thought so.
Yes.
But if we have a diamond on hand.
Well, that was not the issue the first time.
Oh.
It is not a trifling sort of magic. Donling has its fair share of diamonds. 3 still died.
If I may ask, is it alright if I have just one night to sleep on the final decision?
Of course.
I'll get back to you first thing in the morning, I promise.
He nods.
But you can always prioritize the others first. It's not that urgent.
We'll do it as quickly as we can. Figure it all out. So I should probably... He turns around and just rummages through the papers until he pulls out a pencil from his desk. It's broken at the end. Puts it down, reaches and pulls one from his bun. I should write down all of the things that you want, because it is more than I expected. So we need a piccolo for you. You did not want anything, Flores?
I don't think much can be done, but thank you.
You, Wolfman.
Furry.
What did you want for this?
I should say I have no money really to speak
You
of.
play the
but
fiddle?
I do.
Would you like a new fiddle?
Yes.
Right. You, if you are concerned with possession, perhaps something that hides you from potentially watching ice, with something like this where we don't know the source, it is... waggles the pencil in the air. Not the most reliable. I can't make any promises, but I can try.
Well, I figure trying's better than not.
Sure, alright. Write something down. Great. Okay. I apologize also for all of this. What I brought up. I know that was too much. I got a little excited. You may check back in with Commander Umbra if that is easier for updates on this, and we will work as quickly as we can.
Thank you for the assistance.
You're certain you don't want anything monetarily for this? It is quite a great deal of work.
That is not typically how I run my business.
Okay then.
Is everybody going to leave, or...?
Kirit's gonna try and hang back.
I was also going to have Kian try to hang back.
Ox pockets the feather.
That's not yours. And you put it back.
What the fuck?
Holy shit.
I suppose I did have one question.
Yes.
When it comes to constructing these instruments, is that more your forte, or do you also do sort of the, I guess I should ask how much of the sort of soul magic's end of the trial are you involved in? The information that you and Umbra have together?
We have shared the information. We work together sometimes. She used to be a jeweler. Speaking of, if any of you prefer jewelry of some sort for this, then we may be able to swing that. But anyways, she is more the expert, but I do know the theory of the magic behind it. Magical theory in general. That's how I'm able to build these things.
That is incredible. Okay, perhaps I will speak with her as well. It is just that, well, the gem I wear has been somewhat damaged, and I wondered if you knew anything about the theory regarding repairing it.
Honestly, I don't think it bodes particularly well.
No, I thought not.
Before you all, the Dawn Shepherds, formed, again, you've spoken to Amber, there were similar, but not the same, sort of experiences. It is like Henry Goodlove here and his situation with the coin, and Umbra with hers. They are considered to be indestructible items unless by the wearer himself. So it should not happen easily. But if it begins to crumble on its own, that is generally after some time spent in the oceans, I believe. At least again in these different situations, but yours is a bit out of reach.
Could the wearer mend it? If they can damage it? In theory.
I would like to think so, but I think once someone is in the oceans that long, again, without your abilities, Flores as a Dawn Shepherd, they are past that point.
Thank you.
This is not pertaining to you understand?
No.
Just because these other ones have not been mended does not mean yours can't be. Yeah?
Yeah.
It looks like he can tell very obviously that Virgil's upset. And he looks like he's sort of grasping for something to reassure him with. But he's proven himself to be a pretty honest person. Not the type to give empty reassurances.
Bodes well.
If I ever learn something, I will pass it along.
Thank you. Truly.
You're certain you don't want, well, similar to what we're making for your friend here, gestures to Kirit, something that will perhaps suppress your connection to that magic?
What would that do?
It would be a bit of an experiment. If it pains you or bothers you in some way, it might be worth a shot.
It wouldn't be permanent if we did it, right?
Not as far as I know, no.
Perhaps it might be wise. Yeah?
Right. Do you play an instrument?
No.
What would you like then?
Maybe a necklace.
Okay, writes it down. Alright, you can all go.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I think Kian just waits until Henry passes.
Ox stays back.
Kieran also stays back.
Yes?
I was serious about wanting to help, and I think if you give Henry a chance to think about it, it might be easier to bring him to your side of thinking than you think.
I might not be the best person to fight that battle.
Just letting you know that I'd like to. If it's just me. But we might all be able to help.
It needn't be just you. I don't think I should overstay my welcome in Dawning, but if I can be of help elsewhere, I'd love to repay you in some way.
My only allegiance to Dawning was to get the people of Enosh home again.
I think we have more allegiance to our friends than places.
Y'all are flirting.
Flirting with unionizing.
I suppose it is too late for Enosh. You know, I'm going to give it a month before it becomes part of the Phoenix Island. But the next time a similar thing happens, perhaps we can get in contact with you. Does that sound of interest?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Kira looks confused.
Do you need a way to contact us?
No, I already have one.
Alright.
It's David.
Hopefully we won't need to hear from you, but
You
we
will.
do. Alright.
And if you have changed your mind, well, that will be your last chance to, make that decision.
Sounds fair.
You talk to the young Mr. Goodlove for me. I know it's not his fault who his parents are.
I think he'll surprise you.
Maybe.
Kian steps out the door.
Ox will follow last, and he'll give one last glance back at the feather on the desk.
You all step out of the instrument shop. Vincent and Nadia looking. Nadia looks a bit more awkward than before. Vincent is still kind of exactly the same, blank-faced. Henry, only you can tell that there's a bit of discomfort there as well. and they start to lead you back towards your estate. This time, your way back is impeded slightly. A small street market has begun along one of the main streets. You've seen a few of these, Virgil and Henry, and they can get pretty busy. There's usually some sort of like music and dance and artistic displays along with the fruits and vegetables being sold here. Kian, you hear it first. I mean, you would recognize Lachlan's music anywhere. And before you see him up on the stage, you know the song. You turn around to look at him. He has a new banjo in hand, a new hat on his head, extremely wide-brimmed, with a large ornate feather sticking out of the top. He makes eye contact with you in the audience.
Keen is disguised. I think he would drop it.
Your disguise drops and his gaze remains on you. It doesn't flip past to flirt with other audience members in the same manner. His brow raises and he grins, continues to play his song, and motions for you to come up on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah. Keen goes up on stage.
Laying low! the crowd claps and cheers as you're pulled up onto the stage. He takes you by the hand. You notice tucked in his buttonhole a small gathering of forget-me-nots. He kisses you on the hand and says, "Do you know how to dance?" And that is where we'll end our session for tonight.
Hey, is that bitch real?
What? What the fuck's going on?
I don't think that's your bitch.
No.
That's not your bitch. Not your bitch.
That's not your man, sister. Yeah, what was that accent on that voice?
It sounded like it was Errol's accent
Yeah, that's what I heard.
from Sweetless.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Because that's where he's from.
Kian is like, hoo, and then, who the fuck are you?
Lachlan is. Oh my god! Wait, y'all, you missed that. Lachlan is from
Wait.
Sweetless, and that was a Sweetless accent. So what does that mean?
Does he have his memories back?
Does he have his memes? Does he still have his memes of you? Is this your man? Is this your guy?
I don't know.
Is this your bitch?
I'm scared.
Fuck. Oh fuck.
I'm scared and intrigued and I want to play more. Go build you a log cabin on a mountain so high, and hear the feather over you as she goes screaming by. She'll tease you and she'll please you. She'll satisfy your needs, but someday she